Welcome everybody to this installment of the DT&L Talks series. My name is Tom Tobin. I'm with the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and we're pleased to have Justin Baggott and Sarah Shumpert here, as well as our host, Janet Staker-Warner. I'm going to get out of their way and let them go in a couple of seconds here, but I want to just let everybody know, A, this session is being recorded, and B, you have access to the automatic subtitles using the Zoom tools at your disposal. How it's going to go is we'll ask our guests a couple of questions and they'll give some answers. And then for the second half of our lightning talk, we'll open it up for all of you to ask questions and be part of the conversation. With that, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Janet Staker-Warner, and we'll get started.
Well, thank you, Tom. So we're delighted that you've decided to choose to spend a little time with us this afternoon regarding a discussion on how to teach online for professional development for faculty. And so, I was thinking of getting ready for this. We know that in the past year, assisting faculty in their efforts to teach online has been mission critical. And so since 2015, we have enrolled over 180 TC faculty who've come through our courses. So we thought it'd be appropriate if we would invite Sarah and Justin to talk a little bit more about their program. So I'm just thrilled to introduce to you Sarah Shumpert, who's the Director of Academic Development, and Justin Baggott, who is a curriculum consultant for Tri-County Technical College located in Pendleton, South Carolina. So Sarah, I'm going to start with you. If you'd like to share a little bit about your role and what your responsibilities are at TCTC, as well as talk a little bit about your institution.
Sure. Well, thank you very much for having us today. I'll start by telling you a little bit about Tri-County. We're a community college with an enrollment of about 6,000 students, and we're located in the northwestern corner of South Carolina. So we're just down the road from Clemson University. And in fact, we have a very robust Bridge to Clemson transfer program. We also have a variety of other university transfer opportunities. And then we also offer a number of career and technical associate degree programs that lead directly to employment, like in healthcare, business and public services, and industrial and engineering technology. Our part of the country has a lot of advanced manufacturing. So Justin and I work in the Office of Academic Development. So we provide curriculum development and faculty development services to faculty. And we serve the entire college, so we're not solely focused on just distance learning per se. And in fact, our college doesn't even really market fully online programs. We feel for our particular community, fully online programs don't meet our particular needs. We are an open door institution, and we serve a lot of first generation college students, under-resourced, low-income students. Now, having said that, we for many years have offered a wide variety of online and hybrid course offerings. We use that more as a scheduling option in combination with face-to-face classes to help students kind of round out their schedule every semester. But now, of course, like everybody else, when COVID hit, we shifted everything online, and have been delivering online. But of course, we offer many hands-on programs, like whether it's, clinical nursing programs or even welding. It's kind of hard to do welding virtually. So we did kind of get back to face-to-face on a number of our classes. But this is kind of an interesting time where, we're sort of figuring out now that so many more faculty and our students were exposed to online than had been previously, kind of, how much do we continue doing online, and how much do we bring back face-to-face? So it's kind of an interesting time. And of course, with me today is Justin, and I'll let him take a minute to introduce himself.
All right, so as Sarah mentioned and Janet mentioned, I am a curriculum consultant in our Office of Academic Development here in Tri-County, and my specialty actually is e-learning. So I definitely live in the online wheelhouse. I help faculty develop their online courses, as well as integrate some sound online pedagogy into their courses. I do a lot with online accessibility, and in addition to that, I also provide training on some of our tech tools like Blackboard. That's a big one. We're a Blackboard school, so that's our LMS, and just training like that. So it's definitely been an interesting time with COVID. But yeah, that's my role. So.
Well, thank you, Justin. So now I'm going to ask a couple of questions to help the audience get a better feel for how you're using our professional development offerings. So either one of you can answer these questions, but how did you go about selecting an online professional development support course for your faculty?
Sure. So I'll start that off, and then kind of the history of sort of how we got started with this program, and then I'll let Justin talk a little bit about how it's going today.
Okay.
So one thing I will say that we at Tri-County have always been very fortunate to have institutional leaders who strongly support professional development generally and faculty development especially. I think our leaders know that in order for us to go where we want to go as an institution, frontline faculty in the classroom is definitely where we need to focus our attention. So just generally speaking, they've always been very supportive of faculty development. And again, given the student population that we work on, we really, we talk about how we change lives. We really change people's lives. We want our this experience at Tri-County to be transformative. And in fact, our latest strategic plan, we talk about economic mobility for our students. So there's always generally been a strong commitment to professional development. Now, as for faculty development and supporting online teaching and learning, I cannot tell a lie. And I have to say that the really big, strong commitment came from an external mandate. So we are in the Southeastern region. So our regional accrediting body is SAC-COC. And about 10 years ago, SACS came out with a guideline, that said, as an institution, we really needed to show how our faculty were credentialed to teach in each modality that they teach in. And so we had to show that our faculty were qualified to teach in an online or hybrid mode. And so our provost at that time put together a faculty committee. So the decision was faculty-led. I was also part of that committee as well, to figure out how do we go about and essentially, credential our own faculty to show and illustrate that they are qualified to teach in an online program. And so when the faculty group got together, one of our top considerations was the fact that many of our courses, so many of our credits are delivered by part-time or adjunct faculty, and that is very typical of a community college. And so when you're talking about faculty development and training, it's one thing to talk about your full-time faculty, who are just, they're on the payroll, they're salaried, versus your part-time faculty, that you're just basically paying them for the time they spend in the classroom, in their office hours. And so, it's not like we suddenly had all this, money that we could pay for people's time to get trained in, how to teach online. So what we kind of decided very early on was that while we were paying for the faculty, the instructors' tuition to go through online teaching training, we weren't actually paying for their time. So we wanted it to be sort of worth their while. And so we decided that going with, outsourcing the program, going with a name brand sort of portable certificate that they could take with them would incentivize faculty going through this training. So something that they could put on their resume that was not, just independent, here's Tri-County's, internal little program, but that again, it would be something that they could put on their resume. Many of our adjunct faculty teach at more than one college in the area, or they're working toward a full-time position somewhere. So again, we thought, a third party, brand name program would, really be a win-win-win, right? We would, have faculty who were trained in best practices and online pedagogy. Our faculty then would have a certificate that they could take with them as they, move to other colleges. And then of course our students would have a very high quality experience in the classroom. And so that's kind of how we got started. And so then it was sort of, how do we pick the name brand outsourced product that we're going to use? And so the committee looked at a variety of different offerings. I myself had personal experience going through the University of Wisconsin-Madison program. I don't think it was called FOOT at that time. I think maybe there was a name change at some point. And, I could certainly attest to the quality of the program. And so we found that it had the sort of the right balance, the appropriate level of instruction for our faculty, at a price point that Tri-County could adopt. And we have been very pleased with the results. Now, like I said, that was kind of 10 years ago or more that we started with this. And the nice thing about that program is, even though it was a faculty committee that decided to adopt this program, administratively it was assigned to my office, which is good because sometimes if something goes to a committee, it's easy for it to get lost in the shuffle, or maybe you lose the champion of that particular program as committee membership shifts as people roll off. So since it came to my department, I then became kind of the built-in champion for continuing it over all these years. And so I just fold that into, my budget request every year. It has never been challenged, fortunately, but I always knew kind of in my back pocket, I could say, hey, SACS, and then I knew it would be safe because, everybody would be like, oh yeah, we need that for accreditation. But fortunately, I have never had to do that.
That's quite a story. Thank you. And Justin, can you share a couple of examples from faculty that have come through the program and what their perceptions are and what they think about the program? Has it changed their behavior or their approach to teaching?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think especially with, the COVID-19 pandemic and everything, there's been this renewed interest in it. Like faculty don't just want it because like, oh, I can teach an online course. They're legitimately interested now that they've kind of been forced to experience this online environment. And so this previous academic year, I think we probably had the most faculty go through the program in one academic year just because of the popularity. And, we've been kind of having to figure out how to get everybody through and everything. But yeah, I mean, faculty have been very excited. I think a lot of the times faculty come in with little to no experience as an online instructor. And so just getting that perspective from the FOOT cohort, as well as just being online students themselves, because for a lot of our faculty, they've never been online students. And so seeing it from both of those perspectives, I mean, we've gotten a lot of positive feedback. I've heard some faculty come back and say, man, I wish I had done this sooner. Obviously we couldn't have seen COVID-19 coming, but a lot of faculty have kind of expressed like, man, I wish I had known this sooner and had this in my back pocket, to teach online and have this experience.
That's great. And I guess one of the things that I would like to ask is there one takeaway that faculty talk about, like learner interaction or tools, or is there one important idea or concept that comes out above all others, or is it a combination?
It tends to be a combination. I think every faculty member, I hear different things from different faculty. And because, we are a 2-year community college and we have this experience with our arts and sciences division, as well as the technical programs who are definitely more career oriented in things. I think they all pull different things and have these new realizations about online learning. So learner interaction is a big one. And kind of the general comment I think about is, wow, I didn't think I could do this online, but I can. So usually everybody finds some way they can turn their material into an online course and a very positive online learning experience.
And I'll add something else to that. We still, of course, do in-house training with our own technology tools. As Justin mentioned, we're Blackboard is our LMS, but it does seem that kind of when it's our in-house training, so much of it focuses on the technology tool itself. Where do I point? Point and click, and it's just so much about the mechanics of how the technology works that them participating in the FOOT course, really, this whole LMS agnostic, it's not about the technology, it's about the pedagogy. And I think that is also a real benefit.
Great. So looking forward, what do you see as challenges as we head to the fall and opportunities?
Oh, I thought Justin was going to unmute and handle that one. I mean, I think for us the challenge, because again, because we're not just focused on distance learning programs, right? This is our entire college. And, as we talked about, um, sort of everything we had to throw it online, and whether someone was prepared to do that or not. And so now I think kind of the challenge moving forward in kind of this post-COVID environment is that folks who didn't take the time to go through the appropriate training kind of feel like, oh, I know how to do this now, and really kind of backing that up. And just because you did it in a pinch a certain way, or you just kind of threw things online, doesn't mean that that's the best approach to do that. So I would say that.
Right. Well, thank you. Well, we're coming up against the time that we want to turn it over to our audience for questions. And so, Liz, are there questions in the chat that we can direct to Sarah and Justin?
No, not right now.
Okay, well, I'm going to keep going then. Feel free to just go into the chat and post. I'm curious about your administration. So it sounds like you build this into your budget. Do you see that as just an ongoing thing? It sounds like from an institutional point of view, they support this and buy into this for a longer period of time.
Yes, and as I've said, we've been doing this for, quite a number of years. And so kind of initially, because we had folks teaching online, we had this new SACS requirement, there was kind of this period of sort of retroactively, having all our faculty who teach in that delivery mode to go through the program. And so, we kind of had high numbers. And so what I do is I work with all of the division deans and say, remind them, kind of each year, as a reminder, we have this requirement, if you have faculty, whether that's part-time or full-time, who are teaching online or hybrid courses, we really need to get them signed up and to go through the program. And then they would submit for me kind of the names. And so, I would sort of judge, okay, I need to budget, for this many people to go through. And then, each year I would sort of say, well, how many people actually went through it last year? And I would kind of adjust my budget, as we would go along, sort of, seeing, are we getting a lot of new people in, or do most of the people we have, have they been through this program? And of course, now all of a sudden we, had kind of this spike, and, I didn't have enough money for everybody who was interested this year. And so I went to our president and said, hey, look, can I have some extra dollars? I've got more people interested. And he 100% found the money to make that happen.
Oh, excellent. That's really good to hear. So do you ever have someone that is somewhat resistant, that they really don't feel that it's the best use of their talents to teach online?
To go through the training program, or to actually teach in a online?
Actually teach online.
We have had a little bit of that, not more recently. I would say, and I guess maybe just because this technology has become so much more ubiquitous, and that even folks who are teaching face-to-face, utilize more and more e-learning tools, that I don't see the resistance as much as we used to. Sometimes the resistance now might come from our part-time faculty. I hate to make it a generational thing, but maybe our folks who, have been teaching for many, many years, and they're closer to retirement or have retired, and they're like, yeah, I don't want to mess with that.
Yeah, and I was going to say, just to add to that too, just really quickly, I think a lot of the faculty that we do have that maybe are a little resistant to it, they're kind of scared of the time commitment, and like, I'm not sure, usually find something beneficial out of it afterwards. So it's usually a positive experience by the time they finish up. So usually we can change some minds in that regard.
One of the things I've noticed, because I've taught several of your folks, and they come through in groups. Although it's open enrollment, they come through usually 3 to all the way up to 9. Can you comment on that? Do they have a community of practice when they're done with the course? Do they keep on talking?
Boy, that's a great idea. I wish so. I think that typically does not really develop unless they are teaching in the same department. Okay. I would say, unfortunately, probably like in a lot of areas, sometimes the faculty, especially with our part-time faculty, do tend to be a little bit siloed in their department. So yeah, that's a great idea. Something we should work on.
Absolutely. And one opportunity they do get, I will say, if they have the opportunity to be course designers, they get to go through our course redesign program that we have in-house that I facilitate. And sometimes in there, we will see some feedback of like, oh yeah, this is what we did in the fundamentals of online teaching course. So that is one opportunity there.
And so looking forward, how do you see this playing out? Do you continue to offer this professional development for faculty? Does your institution see the value of it? And do the faculty see the value of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll just jump in here. I think for the time being, we fully intend to keep offering professional development and online learning because what we've seen post-COVID, I think, is kind of this renewed interest of not only just providing more online opportunities, but providing high quality online opportunities. And we get a lot of push from like department heads and things like that to get their instructors through the training. And we're in an interesting spot because we have so many technical programs. We have a lot of faculty members, both full-time adjunct that come through this program and maybe have never taught face-to-face, much less online. And so getting that experience and kind of having that opportunity to test the waters before they're just thrown into an online course, I don't think that's going away anytime soon. And plus, as Sarah mentioned, because of our accreditation processes, this is what we use to kind of signify that, hey, our instructors are uniquely qualified to teach online.
And Justin, I'm going to build on that because I have been kind of looking at the chat, and we had one question where someone asked if if we require the training in order for folks to teach online, and if so, what does the timing look like? And so again, the expectation is that if our folks are going to be regularly teaching online courses, that they would go through the training. Now, we realize that if it's a new hire and right away we need them to teach online courses, that the timing is not going to work out. And so we don't require it prior to them teaching a semester online. But again, our expectation is that, like, let's say by the second semester, we get them into a cohort. So there is kind of like a little bit of a grace period. So they don't have to have checked off that box to teach any online sections. And again, if there was sort of a one-off situation, we wouldn't track them down. Then another question was about the incentivizing the participation. Like we mentioned before, we don't have any kind of like prizes or stipends to give them. It is essentially a requirement because of our accreditation. So what we feel is a built-in incentive is the fact that they are getting, again, kind of this name brand certificate that becomes portable and that they can put on their resume. So that is the incentive that they get. A little bit more enticing, again, for our part-time faculty who tend to be a little bit more transient and teach at other institutions. For our full-time faculty, as Justin said, once they go through the program, they do find the benefit because they do improve. And let's see. Prep training that we offer to new online student, and was any of this new or developed because of COVID? We partner with our Learning Commons, who they do quite a bit of what they call skill shops for students, not just related to online teaching and learning, but just all kinds of things, study skills, time management, and incorporated that into that is some assistance with being an online student. Now, we do not make it a requirement that students complete that before they enroll in an online class. So, that is more kind of like a strongly recommended for them. I will say that we did augment quite a bit of that because of COVID, of offering, additional training resources for our students because of COVID.
Okay. And I guess one thing I would like to ask is if there was some advice you could give to our audience, what would that be about the role of professional development with faculty?
Let's see, a secret. I don't know. Justin, do you have a secret? Our biggest secret? I know this is supposed to be a big secret.
Yeah, I mean, I think my advice is to always, especially if you're just starting out with offering professional development, find your cheerleaders in those groups, find the people that are eager, and let the faculty kind of do your marketing for you. And when they find that something's positive about it, they are more likely to go out and tell their colleagues, hey, I got this out of this. This is a great tool. So I've definitely gotten a lot of consultations and training opportunities to give to faculty through word of mouth. So
Yep, I think Justin hit on our big secret. Yeah, definitely that, the excitement might not come before they get started, but again, when you get those folks who've had a positive, great experience, let them convince their colleagues that it's, worth doing.
Well, that's excellent. It's time to wrap up. We said it was a lightning conversation, and it was. Thank you so much, Justin and Sarah. I'm going to turn it back to Tom to close out the half hour.
Thank you very much, Janet. And Sarah and Justin, thank you for being our guests. And thank you to everybody who's been here on the live DT&L Talk Lightning Talk, and to those of you who are watching the recording later on. We'd like to encourage everybody to consider our summer programming. On the screen now is our Distance Teaching and Learning Conference. That's August 2nd through the 5th. It's 100% online, and we have internationally renowned keynote speakers this year. Maha Bali, Jeremy Knox, Sean Bain. They're going to be talking about some of the challenges of what comes after the pandemic. And we also have a summer slate of programs like some of the things you heard us talking about today: the fundamentals of online teaching, professional certificate in online education, and you can go to go.wisc.edu and take a look at all of our programming there. So thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you to our guests, and thank you to Janet for being the host today. We hope we'll see you on the road, either online or maybe in person one of these days. So take care, everybody, and thank you for being part of
Take
this
care.
session. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.